right now on Full Custom Garage. Master metalman Ian Roussel continues the transformation of the two Falcons.
I didn't tell Bill when I was returning or what I was doing or what color I was painting it. It was like a surprise reveal.
Wow, Ian, this is the cool finish.
But Ian's client has his sights set on selling the Falcon van.
Ian's always full of surprises, and my wallet is getting empty.
The whole deal with this van project was, hey man, you could make some money and recoup on this investment in the Ranchero. I got a million ideas, but there ain't one done yet.
With the pressure on, Ian calls in some help from his friends.
Jack comes by. He's the upholstery guy.
This is really nice.
Yeah, the only thing that's going to determine the final tone is we have the shoe test.
The shoe test?
I'll be right back.
What's...
There's a lot going on to finalize both of these projects at the same time. My friend Bob's in town.
I'm here to help. Let's get this baby done. I'm pumped. Ian,
What?
I'm stuck. Put me out of here.
It's all that hair gel.
We're getting Ianized, and I think I have somebody that's interested in buying it.
I like cars. I like cars that have motorcycles in them better.
And with the van sale on the line, things are heating up with the Ranchero.
I'm just holding it together, you know? I'm turning dials, ringing bells, blowing whistles, the whole 9 yards. Bill's looking at me a little cross-eyed, because all he hears is this clunking, chugging engine. It's smoke pouring out of it. So I gotta pull this off. First thing I wanted to do is get the van and the Ranchero painted. So I took them both down to my buddy Rich Evans' shop. He's a Jedi master of the paint world.
Looks like you've been pretty busy, brother. Looks good. Looks straight.
I got a lot of bodywork time into it.
Another cool project.
Yeah, it's a 62 Falcon van, Ford.
I dig working with Ian. Every time it just inspires me to keep moving. Both of us, we have that kind of same drive, but then we bring different talents to the table.
He is Mr. Meticulous, and I am Mr. Ridiculous Creative. The main thing about Rich's work is that it's super clean. It's probably the most refined finish I've ever seen. This van was white, so I think if we go with a white tone, that's exactly how it looked. It's just gonna come back to the client looking refreshed, so.
I think it's gonna be a little bit more than that, dude.
I knew I wanted a fine finish, so I came to Rich's shop, and Rich has this paint line called Vintage Flats.
I know everybody cringes when they hear flats because it's hard. It's like walking on eggshells to get it to come out right. But I go, I got the perfect product. You know, Ian, he knows if I'm telling him something, it's gonna work. Get it in the booth. First thing, you gotta get all the dirt off.
It's time to clean it, and clean it. And then we're gonna clean it some more before we clean it again, and then he'll check it. He'll give it the white glove test. Dirt to me is something you pick up with a shovel. And Rich is talking about this dirt he's finding all over the car just because the rag is discolored. We cut the quarter panels open and it was literally like a whole farm fell out of the freaking thing. It was crazy.
A farm on wheels, huh?
It was so, it had to be probably raised up an inch in ride height. It was so full of dirt, it was crazy.
Every little bit of dirt we can get off of that all the way to the process into the booth is gonna help that end result of the paintwork.
If you're pulling off these world-class paint jobs, the operative word is meticulous. And this guy's got that.
It's like washing the car 20 times. And we're ready to rock.
Just like I step into my shop and start working metal, this guy steps into the paint booth and it's showtime.
This is one of the first big canvases that I've shot with the whites. So I was excited to see, because white shows everything.
The main thing for me that was revealed was how you get a surface this big to have an even coat of paint. We got the van painted and let it cure. I'm excited to check it out. Aha.
There it is. Opening the doors, the van looked great. I was pumped. Ian was pumped.
It did totally mellow out. I thought it was really glossy, but that's perfect. This is exactly what the van needed. It's a perfect finish. This thing is looking clean. Kind of makes it look easy. I'm gonna bring in that Ranchero and see if I can't do something about this good. Rich was kind of wondering what I was doing with a stock car. but showing him what's going on underneath, he understands.
If Ian's been under a car for a couple weeks, there's something trick going on, for sure. I looked under there and that suspension looked like it was set up for the track. I was blown away. I'm just like, man.
Rich recommended I put a sealer on before the top coat just to keep everything separate, keep the automotive paint away from the old base coats. I picked out a color that I think Bill's really gonna like, and I'm excited to paint it. What I'm doing is pretty tricky. I got the idea of using this base coat that has a pearl in it. It's a metallic finish. By putting the vintage clear on it, it's gonna kind of make a frosted effect.
We're knocking projects out. Got the van sitting here, got the Ranchero sitting here. It's a great journey with Ian every time.
I didn't tell Bill when I was returning or what I was doing or what color I was painting it. I took it up to his place. It was like a surprise reveal. Howdy,
Wow,
I've returned.
very cool. This is the cool finish. Very similar to what you did on the big truck.
Well, I knew how you liked that, yeah, and that's the thing.
Wow, Ian, that's just great. I knew that how hard Ian worked on this thing, and the body was so straight and it looked so nice. Ian did a perfect job.
I was relieved. Kind of took a chance on this. I didn't tell him what was up, but when he saw it, he really liked it.
Beautiful.
Bill was happy to see the Ranchero, but I could tell all that was on his mind was getting this van ready to sell.
I think I have somebody that's interested in buying it. So see if I can set that up and sell that, and that'll help fund wherever else we're going with this.
Bill wants to get this van done. There's a ton of work to do, so I gotta get on it. Paint on the van is perfect, so it's back into the interior. This is what it's supposed to have looked like about 3 weeks ago, before all the rust and collision issues. It's supposed to be a simple flip, and as usual, it's more work than we expected. Just to reestablish where we left off, threw a milk crate in the truck, put the seat top on. It's the way NASA does it. We touched a couple critical ideas about the interior of the van, and that was these 2 bench seats and a table. The rest is up to me. The whole idea with this interior is that it's modular. You're gonna have these seats, but in the end, if you need more room, they just unfasten and you can put lots more stuff inside. I keep calling these seats, but they're actually storage boxes. There's gonna be a face and 2 end caps. The lid will hinge up. So you have this open span here to just throw your fishing gear, surfboards, anything you need. Got these aluminum piano hinges from Industrial Metal. I'll put 2 pins that'll keep it indexed when it's shut. That way they just won't be flapping around when you're driving, but that's the story. Come on. Inspect the welds. Gonna give it the white glove test, like Rich Evans. That's not helping. One of the main things I think would improve this van is just to get it quieter. I got this stuff from Eastwood. It's a sound deadening mat. It's kind of like a giant rubber sticker. The whole idea with this van is that it's a giant tin can, you dig? So when you put this stuff on there, right? The van's a rockin', don't come knocking. When I'm not busy welding, fabricating, doing body work, sanding, and painting, in my spare time, I do a little woodwork. So the door panels aren't rocket science. You just measure them, trace out a template, set up your fastener holes, and cut it to fit. You don't even care. Lost interest after 30 seconds. Jack's coming by tomorrow. I want to show him my idea for the interior and see what it's going to take to make this thing happen. While I'm in the middle of this, Jack comes by. He's the upholstery guy, and him having his input on how I set this up is pretty important. Yeah, you can see I did a little work to it.
Gee, a little.
We buffed it out a little.
Redid the whole thing.
Yeah, remember it had no face?
This is really nice.
Yeah, it's gonna be all right.
First time I saw it, well, it looked pretty bad. And I said, I don't know about this project here. I'm not too sure this is gonna work. When I walked in there, I didn't think it was the same van. I said, whoa, this thing has really changed. Boy, that looks good.
Jack comes by regularly because I've always got something going on, so he didn't really pay attention to this van. He thought maybe it was a parts car. So here he is a few weeks later, and it's all painted and pristine. He was kind of turned around on it.
But
Bill nixed the
no.
wizard mural. I wanted a wizard with a crystal ball, and he just didn't want that, so we're just gonna go with some simple striping. I really use Jack for everything I do. He's worked for a lot of famous shops around the area. He's been in it his whole life, and he's a total professional. It was supposed to be a really mellow restoration just to sell it, but he wants to go off a little on the interior. See how I'm framing out those bench seats?
You make some cushions for it, long cushions?
That's gonna be up to you, what you
I
think.
can do that.
He's talking about window curtains and a couple bench seats, and he's got a table that I'm gonna install. Well, the whole vibe for the interior of this van should be kind of mellow, Southern California, surf culture type of thing. So I just want it to look really cool, you know, not typical. So see what these benches are?
We put some
like
on
that.
it. Oh, yeah.
They lift up.
Oh, this is gonna be all carpet.
Yeah, the whole
I
deal,
see,
yeah.
okay.
He's been doing this for so long, he's seen it all. So I just kick back and forth a few ideas with him, and he comes up with the process.
I've got some wild ideas. If I did the modern style interior now, it just wouldn't look like a 60s deal.
I got some work to do before the van's ready for Jack, but I'm glad that he liked my ideas. I'm setting up the headliner in the van, and there's a million ways to go about it. The plywood is just a surface that you can attach something to, and that's really how I start off all the headliners I've done. My whole task here with this van is to make it look as cool, as creative as possible without breaking the bank. So you could go to town and stitch on this headliner for a month. I think I could do something in an hour and a half that's gonna look just as cool. So, all the interior upholstery panels are going to Jack, but the headliner is not. This is gonna be the headliner, a 6-foot reed fence with natural finish. My plan here is to take this fence and stick it on the roof and make a nice headliner out of it. I just set it up so there's an even foot hanging off each side of this 4-foot table. I need a 5-foot piece, so I'm just gonna cut 6 inches off each side, and that'll get rid of all these crazy ends. The big challenge in this whole headliner is just the size of it and the fact that it's upside down. I've never done this before, so I thought staples were gonna be a good idea. It's always harder than it seems in your head. We're shooting it into the frickin' metal. That'll hold. I was stapling into the metal cross member in the roof. There's no way these were gonna hold, but once I moved over a few inches, stapled it in the right spot and started to work. There we go. I think it's gonna be okay. Yeah, these wires are very strong, so ultimately I'll put about 10 bazillion staples in here. It's like Tiki Island in here. This is oversized, so I'm just gonna kind of creep it forward and trim as I go. Once I got the thing really stapled up to the windshield, I could tell it's gonna work. I'm really liking the way it's laying out, and my plan of stapling it up is it's gonna happen. Okay, now just trim the shrubbery. A little yard work, get the rest of the headliner in. How can you not like this? I mean, if Bill has something to say about it, I think it's gonna be, what a great idea. I'm surprised I didn't think of that. Getting this interior headliner in is the first step in the finished look of the whole interior concept. This bamboo fence as a headliner worked out pretty darn cool. Surf City, here we come. But today's gonna be a bit of show and tell. Bill's coming by, he hasn't seen the paint job yet. He's bringing a friend who's a potential client. Maybe somebody wants to buy the van.
I probably haven't seen the van for about 2 weeks. Came down expecting to see the paint on this, and I came in the door and
Good to see you, sir.
wow!
A little more progress than what we saw last time. Yeah, we painted it. Right off the bat, I could tell that Bill was pleased. He knew what this van came from, and seeing it clean, painted, he was really happy.
just very, very nice.
It's got a bamboo roof, too.
Yeah, that old fence worked out all right. There's a bamboo fence.
Really?
Yeah.
Walking in and having it open, I could see the paneling, I could see the roof. I really dug the bamboo roof because I think it's gonna be a cool theme, you know, kind of from the 60s, it's old. And I'm glad to be able to have a little sneak peek before it's done too, because I can see how it's kind of being built.
I wanted you to see this when it's in the middle of its reconstruction.
So to appreciate it when it's all done.
Yeah. Jess is the brother of my son's wife, and known him for a long, long time. Really good guy.
We had a family get together at my house, and Bill showed me a picture of the van. Like, wow, that looks really cool.
He's seen firsthand the projects I've done with Bill. The guy's a fan, and he wants some of what we got.
On any Sunday, the classic motorcycle movie, this is like the type of van that Mert Lawwill had. And he traveled all around the country. California to Ohio, straight, with another driver taking turns, and he'd have his flat trackers in the back.
Well, I don't see why he couldn't do it with this one.
I know, I think it's very utilitarian. I have a normal job, but I'm also associate editor for Ultimate Motorcycling. So I'm kind of the dirt guy on staff, but I have fallen in love with all kinds of motorcycles. I like cars that have motorcycles in them better. I have a dirt bike in the back of my truck, so let's wheel it in and see if it works.
I guess Jess's main concern with this is, can he haul his dirt bikes with it? He's really into the motocross scene, and if the van doesn't carry his dirt bikes, it doesn't work for him.
Let's see. Oh yeah, look at that.
Fortunately, his motorcycle rolled right in.
So now I have to buy it because the bike fits, huh? I love this thing. I love the concept. I like how it looks. I like the idea of it going forward. The fact that, you know, you got the shag carpet, you can sleep in this thing, you can stow things in here, and, you know, best cars on the road have motorcycles inside. So that's, I mean, you can put a motorcycle in here.
If I can make a deal with Jess, it's still in my family, and I'm good with that.
So you guys pretty much sold me. Now I just need to sell the wife on this.
I don't make this offer often, but you sign today, you can take the dog too. Everybody's happy with the progress of the van, but I gotta finish it. There's a bunch of details to finish up. I gotta put the bumpers on. The stock bumpers are all well and good, but I don't do stock. You know, these were a little dinged up. I think I could make a better looking piece. The rear of the van looks great with the bumper off, and I just want to follow that. I've seen a bunch of cool tricks done in the 60s, Hot Rods and Customs, where they made these tube bumpers. I think I'm gonna just make 2 simple round tube bumpers out of this round tube. It'll be clean, it'll show off this detail, and I can use the stock bumper brackets. You never know where inspiration's gonna strike, you just gotta be open for it. So it's kind of bumming me out. I haven't done any custom metal work on this whole van. Did a couple repairs and a lot of sanding. Not an interior guy. Let me get my hands dirty. This van is a nice finished piece now. It's coming together, so it's not like I can just weld a piece of plumbing pipe on here. It's gotta look right. Tube bumper is super simple. I'm gonna use the stock brackets, trim them down, bend a tube to fit, cap them, and weld them in place. It'll just be as wide as the van. So I'll cut it off right there and weld it on. So it'll just be complementary to this center detail. Like everything else, did a mock-up, held the tube, looked at it, kind of thunk a little, and I came up with this dimension. I just put end caps on the tube and sanded them down nice. And that's the story. Fender pulled a bunch of scratches all the way through it, so I had to smooth all that out. But see, the end caps look super clean. It's gonna be all right. I'll set up a little blast shield so we don't ruin the fresh paint. Well, the whole concept with these bumpers is not like off-road Thrasher tube bumpers. These are just little details that make it look like it's a finished piece. These are a little more artsy than your typical utility-style bumper. You know, you say tube bumper, you think of one thing, but these are just cool little Nerf bars, end caps, sanded out nice. It'll be a clean look. Pretty simple, right? Looks super cool. That took me about 1 hour to do all 4. I really like the finish that the sander left on these tube bumpers, so I'm just gonna clear coat them. I'll probably paint the brackets black so they look like they're floating.
See, the whole thing here was like you had this big, bulky, squared-off bumper. Now you're just showing off the shape of the body. And that's pretty cool.
It's crazy. I always say that the engineers had their own plans and then they got covered up. The rear of this van proves it. The surround for the license plate is this awesome little detail. It looks like something that's custom, and they put this plain stock bumper over it.
I don't even know how this happened. It was a Zen moment. It just said, become, and they became. It was like I was a vessel. I was just a portal for this divine energy. You see what happens when you open yourself up to that. You got 2 nice bumpers.
The van's in a good place. I got a surprise for the Ranchero that I want to show Bill. Oh, look who it is.
Hey, dude.
The name of the game with this car is Driver. Updated, modern, everything. The suspension is there. It's time to get into the engine and make that happen also. I got a fuel injection kit and electronic ignition from MSD.
Fuel injection on a 65 car? Okay, let's try it.
It's the same concept as the suspension upgrade. As a daily driver, I think it's going to be a perfect complement to the engine compartment.
The whole thing with this is it's taking all that antiquated technology out of the intake system.
With this fancy new stuff, I'm old school guy. I'm carburetor. You squirt it, it's got gas in it, it's probably gonna run. Fuel injection, I don't know anything.
You got your computer chip here.
So that's what runs it.
I've never plugged a computer chip in a car before, but that just might make some history for me.
Computer control, a little scary for an old guy.
The hot ticket with every old car is upgrading the ignition and the intake. MSD's got this cool fuel injection setup, upgrades everything.
Here you go, Doctor.
Thank you, sir.
As always with Ian, I was thinking, well, we'll just do a carb kit, tune the thing up, and away we go. No. So we're getting Ianized.
As we were going through the process, explaining what all these parts do, Bill's coming around. He's starting to understand that it's really just car technology in a different wrapper.
This is an old dog, a new trick.
I guess so.
This MSD kit is cool. It's like rocket science for the layman.
I kind of like the idea of the new technology. Nobody's expecting that in this old car. It's pretty cool.
Once you get the pieces in place, it starts to look like a hot rod, and that's really what this is about. Once we determined all the parts fit, I'm just gonna pass off the rest of this installation to Ron and Bill.
Now you get to pick up all the wrappers.
Some assembly required.
Some assembly required. Exactly.
Ron's a really good guy and helped me a whole lot with my big truck.
I've got experience with the old school stuff, and that's what Bill has, is a bunch of old school stuff.
He can work on trucks or tractors or cars or anything. Ian is very motivating for Ron. I mean, he loves watching him.
He's a mastermind. He gets crazy ideas, he just goes for it, which is cool.
I actually had an extra Falcon, and I sold it to Ron, and he's been working on it little by little.
My grandfather had one, and it kind of takes me back.
So he's really into the Falcon deal.
Very similarly to what Bill and Ron are accomplishing with the engine, Jack is just that guy, but with the upholstery. Here we are again, back at the upholstery shop. That's a nice truck. Every time I come to Jack's, he's got this awesome pickup truck sitting here. It's got a lot of super cool work done to it, and it never seems to progress. I'm always kind of rousting him, like, hey man, I'm ready to take it off your hands whenever you're finished looking at it.
First time he saw it, he said, I wish I had this thing. I said, when I kick off, you can have it. Yeah, this is, I've got big plans for this thing. Down the road, I'm gonna get Ian to cut it up for me, see how it goes, but I wouldn't trust anybody else but him to do it.
So these are all the panels.
Okay.
driver rear.
Well, now this will be all diamonds.
All the way through,
All
right?
the way.
So,
Right there.
Jack has been there and done it. I told him 60s inspired van. He said diamond pleat. Sounds good to me. We can go over to the upholstery supply and just pick out something that looks good.
Well, I've got something over here you might like.
I showed Jack all the interior panels I prepped out. I'm explaining to him what I want the flavor of the interior to be, and he says he's got this big roll of material that just might do the trick. I mean, it looks like you got plenty of it.
Oh, yeah.
The only thing that's going to determine the final tone is we have a shoe test. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
The shoe test?
Jack's all charged up. He definitely wants to use this material. I'm kind of digging it, but I said, hold on, I got a shoe. Some artist stuff. I know you're into the upholstery stuff, but I'm going to reveal the dictating factor in the final tone. I'll be right back.
What's...
That's kind of a nonsensical statement on its own, but when I returned, everything was clear. It's all about decision making, and how people go about it is entirely unique to themselves. So he gave us that sample of leather, and you can see how shiny and kind of gaudy it is, but it's very similar to that.
Yeah, this is a lot
And
nicer.
the only other dictating factor is his wife's shoe. I guess they're having a discussion. She pulled out this. Bill's wife makes a lot of aesthetic decisions on his project, so they're kicking around, talking shop, and she's like, hey, this shoe is one of my favorite colors. Why not use this on the interior? And you know, that's pretty darn close. She thought that was a great tone. Holding the shoe up to the material, it looks close enough. I'm happy with it. I think it's gonna work. Well, I was gonna say, if it's a problem with the mismatch, you're gonna have to reupholster the shoe to match. Does that work for you? Only one, though. Can you make that?
Only one shoe?
Well, that's all he gave me.
It's always a lot of work. Yeah, I didn't know about the curtains, and I thought it was curtains for me, because I haven't made curtains in 40 years, probably. But that's the way it is, you know?
The other car, the Falcon Ranchero, I have all the parts for that, too. In addition to the van interior, I kind of double-teamed him with the Ranchero interior, and he's all cool with it. He knows I'm up to good stuff, so he's on board to do the seat and door panels for that.
I'll get those done in no time. They're going to be a lot simpler, I think.
There's a lot going on to finalize both of these projects at the same time. So Bill and Ron are on the engine on the Ranchero. Jack's getting down with the upholstery on the van. My friend Bob's in town. He's gonna do whatever it takes to help me get this thing done.
You got going on here, man?
We're making vans. I don't really tell Bob what's going on in the shop. You know, I always like to surprise him. He's thinking sometimes he's gonna walk in and see a flying saucer in the middle of the room or who knows what.
I didn't know what to expect. I just knew that normally if he's working on one thing, it's wild and crazy, so the thought of that wild and craziness times two really had me on the edge of my seat.
He likes the old school van thing for sure. So he came in, checked out the interior.
That's a great idea for the headliner, man.
The whole idea today is to get a lot of progress on the interior. The carpet's got to get laid in. There's these boxes that are for the seats that have to get paneled out with carpet. So it's really just all loose ends.
Well, man, I'm here. I'm here to help. Let's get this baby done. I'm pumped.
So this is kind of the vibe for the interior. I got this roll of carpet. We're going with this indoor-outdoor carpeting. Still got that 60s vibe, but allows you to either haul stuff or go camping. Either way, it'll work. And then we got this vintage table that was up in Bill's back 40. So it's kind of your old school diner looking thing. It actually came from a fast food restaurant, so. The whole interior of the van is designed to be modular. So this table I picked out is gonna have 2 locations it can locate on the floor, 2 little posts. You'll be able to just pop the table in and out of the van depending on how much interior room you need. Right off the bat, I knew that this table was big. You know, it's from a restaurant, and here we are putting it in this little van. It's a number of things. I mean, first of all, I'm too big for the van. The table's too big for the van, and then Bob gets in, and the whole equation is blown. That's kind of it. That's all you're gonna do in here, is that whole setup. So you're not really relaxing with a beverage, right? You're kind of in the prison van.
At least I won't have to worry about spilling the food in my lap.
Exactly. There's clearly an issue here. It's gonna need to be remedied. Obviously, this table's way too big. Gotta fix it. We need to make this table smaller, both in height and in width.
So I'm gonna cut down the pedestal and narrow the tabletop up by about 6 inches. Before I lay the carpet down, I'm gonna commit to 2 places for the table base, one near the rear axle and one up front by the engine. With that done, it's onto the carpet. It's a preliminary layout of the carpet. I'm leaving everything big because I'm gonna have to spray glue separate panels down for these 3-dimensional shapes like the fender wells. So I'm just roughing out all these areas. That way I could pull this back out and then put the padding down. My design for these boxes was very simple. It should be super quick to put together. You just lay it in place, screw it down, fold over the edges, and install it. Yeah, see, so that's the general layout. Gives a nice plush finish right in.
Watching Ian do something different, I was really impressed with his abilities. It seems like there's nothing he can't do.
Hey, Ian, how are you?
Wow, you got some upholstery.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Button City.
Jack is an ace with this upholstery game. So you're right on time. These are freaking great. It looks good with the headliner, for sure.
Wow. That looks pretty good.
So it was really a recharge when Jack brought in these upholstery pieces. It really gave an idea of how this thing was gonna finish out.
You know, I like doing creative things. I get bored easy if I'm not thinking or have to create something new. It's always that one little extra step that pushes you ahead. You work hard on something, it always shows.
This looks great. I think you're right on the money style-wise. I knew the rim and tire combo is what sets off the whole thing. They came in late in the game here, but I always knew we were gonna do something cool. This is what we got. We got some Krager.
Oh,
It's like a classic style. You'll see the center cap is really neat.
that's gonna be like night and day on here, right?
Because really, that is the look of every vehicle. The paint's there, it needs wheels. And this is the icing on the cake. The 3-spoke.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I like the Krager rims just because of that classic style. A cool classic look. It's a little different than their standard SS, but they have the cool spinners just like them. 3-spoke knockoffs, chromy, wide rims, they're looking good.
It just keeps getting better and better.
You know, you said the only way that this van could look better was if you were sitting in the front seat. I think if you sat there, it would lower the nose just right. Why don't you try that out?
Perfect.
It was really good having Bob here. We finished up a lot of loose ends. This van's good to go. Oh, man. I think all you gotta do is give Bill a deposit. It's yours. It's perfect. I got a call from Bill this morning. He's kind of in a panic. I guess the Ranchero won't start.
A carburetor, I understand how they work, I know how they work. That would have been easy. But we didn't take the easy route. We took the let's get techie and get the new stuff.
Today, Ian shows up and hopefully we're gonna get this thing going.
All of these components are installed. It's looking good. Turn the key and there's no fuel pressure. The fuel pump is turning on every time. There is fuel directly to it. The only thing I can think is that the polarity is reversed. Well, I see something, but I can't verify if it's a plus or a minus.
And the stuff's hard to see. Gave Ian this little mirror and he got in there. And
Yeah, that's a minus. Well, just tap the key and see what happens now.
There it is, got it.
so the wires got reversed on the pump? Is that what went on with that?
What it sounds like.
Yeah.
The problem is remedied. It's always something. I've done it wrong 10,000 times, and that's really it. You just gotta rethink it, go back, and sometimes, reverse things.
So according to you, Ian, it's ready to rock and roll?
Aye, Captain. We are prepared for ignition.
I'm happy to hear it run. Running good, I wouldn't say that. It's not doing that.
I saw this coming. This car's been sitting for more than 6 years. I'm just holding it together, I'm turning dials, ringing bells, blowing whistles, the whole 9 yards. Bill's looking at me cross-eyed, because all he hears is this clunking, chugging engine and smoke pouring out of it. There is a bit of human error in everything. So the smoking resulted from me spilling oil all over the heat wrap on the exhaust, and the timing was set incorrectly. All right, fired up. once we remedied both of those, the thing ran like a brand new car.
With Ian, he's always got some tricks up his sleeve, that boy does.
There's a few more things to wrap up. This Ranchero's almost done. I can't wait to see it on the road.
The Falcon's all done. Ian's got it all dialed in now. And I drove it today, and it is unbelievable. Runs perfect.
The Ranchero is dialed in tight. We got the fuel injection working perfectly, took it to the alignment shop. Bill was looking to get this Ranchero back on the road, right? I got it back in a big way. He is all charged up, and this thing hauls.
The thing handles like a slot car. You turn it, it turns. You would not know it's the same car at all. Nothing about it feels the same. It's like a new car. It's everything and more than I expected.
From the onset, everything about this Ranchero was top notch. You look at it, and nice car with rims, right? But I love the suspension, the way the thing handles. It's a complete transformation.
I'm so happy that we didn't just do my way with the shocks and this cut springs and what have you. This is an over-the-top deal, but the car is over the top now, and it's perfect. I love it.
Not only did we get the Ranchero complete and looking good, I got this van wrapped. This van was a way more ambitious project than I thought it would be. First, we had the issue with the nose, the collision in the nose. It had to look nice, so it just escalates.
Ian did his double work, as always, and it's really nice.
Brought up to Bill's, and just as I'm showing Bill the van, Jess shows up.
Holy cow.
See you again.
Yeah, good to see you, Ian. Hey, Bill. When I first walked up and saw the van, I was just kind of blown away. It looked perfect. Look at this. Wow, these wheels are awesome. The first thing I saw instantly were the wheels and the spinners on it. That totally set it off. And you got the bumper in here?
Yeah. Yeah, I used the stock bumper brackets, and I just made some tube bumpers for it.
The details that Ian did on the bumper and the mesh on the front end, it just, everything kind of ties together.
He really loved the bumpers and the rims that I chose, but it's all about the interior. Yeah, so I had the upholstery guy get down on it. So,
Oh my God.
a little nicer than it were.
Oh, this is amazing.
When I opened up the doors, it was just like, you know, opening up a treasure chest, right? It looks like a plain white van on the outside, but the interior is all fitted out. It's deluxe. We put curtain rods in there.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
So this is the Pendleton
Yeah, the
flannel?
authentic flannel.
The inside, that really blew me away. The upholstery with kind of that diamond tuck and the buttons on it just looks perfect. Yeah, and everything works together with, you know, kind of the bamboo roof and the curtains and...
I think he was a bit in awe, actually, because of the transformation of it.
Wow, this really turned out way more than I expected. The interior, for sure. Because the exterior, I didn't see the bumpers and the wheels, so bumpers and wheels totally show it off. But the interior, this thing was just gutted, right?
There was nothing in it.
There was nothing in it. It was just a little sample fabric.
Right.
So I'm really impressed. I can't wait to take it to the beach. Let's drive it.
Good, let's do it. Let's close the doors up and jump in there and fire it up.
Oh, and we're off. So looking at the van from the outside and the inside and kind of being a spectator is great. The aesthetic is totally there. It's everything that I want. But it's not the feel of driving it. And so once you drive it, I was sold. Having that really big windshield, I mean, it's kind of like a bigger view of the world. And you're sitting up front, so you're in it. You're not behind it, you're in it. You know, elbow out the window. I mean, it was a cool experience. You know, I've always wanted to buy a van since I was 15 and a half, 16 years old, never bought one. Everything's lining up. I created all these little kind of tests and barriers that would have to be accomplished before I could decide whether I should buy it or not. So Bill, last test. It's gotta fit this bike.
Okay.
We already know it fit the Yamaha. Let's see if it'll fit the KTM. The final one was, will it fit my dual sport motorcycle? Ooh, it makes it. Perfect. We're in. We're in with about a ½ inch to spare on either side, and that's without compressing the forks.
Very good.
That was perfect. And then literally, I think you just throw cardboard down.
So it passed the final test.
It did pass the final test. So I've got butterflies. I really, really want this thing. It's really cool.
Jess loved the van. His motorcycle fit. He wants it.
All right, let's back her on down.
I'm very happy with the Ranchero, and I'm extremely happy that Jess is going to get the van. It's been a lot of fun.
Both of these vehicles turned out great. Bill is another satisfied customer. His client is all charged up with a new van, and I'm on to the next.